things off. Hi everyone, we have Kerri Blair here with us. She's a member of our awareness team. We're really grateful to have her on board. And also she is a CDH mom. So Kerri, can you tell us about yourself and where you live and your family and what it was like the first time you heard the words congenital diaphragmatic hernia?
I'm from Kansas. Me and my partner are both ER nurses. So we know a little bit about a lot of things, but neither of us had heard about CDH before. We first found out about the diagnosis when I was 21 weeks pregnant, just for the routine gender ultrasound. We knew something was wrong, but we didn't know what. They had us follow up the next day, and that's when we found out that Henry had CDH. So as soon as we found out, we started kind of researching different hospitals kind of around the US. There's a good hospital in Kansas, but ultimately for our family, we just kind of went with our gut feeling and decided to go to Colorado, where we temporarily moved out and lived there for, we moved out in May, and then I ended up having him in July. And then we stayed there his whole life. He passed away about 54 days. So.
So you're part of the awareness team and you're volunteering in Henry's memory, and we're very grateful for that. And can you explain to everyone a little bit, because there are going to be a lot of people who have never heard of CDH and their family and their friends are sharing the telethon, and what it's like to uproot yourself and go to a different state, and how hard that is on your family, and it's not the normal birth that we all grieve that we didn't have, whether we lose our children or not. We still, the survivors, grieve that too. But can you explain what that's like to uproot yourself?
It's definitely one of the hardest things the hardest thing I ever had to do. It's really scary. The first month was okay because Christopher was able to take off work and kind of be with me. I had to just take out maternity leave, so I was not getting paid. He was supposed to be born on July 1st. They were going to induce me, but he kind of had his own plans and didn't come out till July 4th. So we ended up having to do a C-section. So that was like one big bump in the road. And then I had to end up being in the hospital for 7 days, just with complications and everything. It was hard. It was, originally we were told he had a really good looking case. His CDH wasn't severe, but he also had a rare chromosome disorder called cat-eye syndrome, which caused a whole bunch of other problems. One of them being he had an perforated anus, so his anus wasn't formed. So when they did his CDH repair, they also had to put a ostomy, which is like a little kind of, instead of having a butt, he had a little pouch on his stomach. There was complications with that. He had at least 7 major surgeries, and Christopher has his kids back in Kansas, and he had to work, so he went back and forth from Kansas in Colorado. So there was a couple surgeries that I had to stay out there by myself, which was really scary and stressful. I didn't really know. I knew one person in Colorado, but my whole life was pretty much in the hospital, so it definitely got really lonely. I did make a few friends that I met on the floor that also had CDH, and then just some other people that just were there for just premature babies. But it was really lonely and definitely scary, especially just kind of being out there and kind of feeling alone. And like you said, it definitely wasn't kind of all the expectations I had as a mom. I kind of had to let go and just ultimately realize that, the kind of mom I was going to be was just a different kind. But.
Yeah. And Forgive me for not knowing this. So it's been almost a year?
Yeah, he was born in July. He passed away in August 26th.
Okay. Do you have any advice for newly grieving parents? Anything you wish someone would have told you or something you didn't know would happen?
Um, Not really that I advise per se, because I'm still, I mean, I don't think you ever stop grieving. Um, I will say it's kind of a weird network. You start, people that you don't expect to be very supportive are, like maybe people that you don't ever talk to, kind of reach out, and then you do start um, hearing stories from other people that, you know, have had their own infant loss and don't really talk about it. Or I have found some support groups, and that's been very, very helpful. So if anyone's able to find any kind of infant loss groups, I think that's been the most helpful thing for me. Um, but yeah, it's just been kind of a journey, kind of taking it day by day, really.
Yeah. I like to say it gets easier. It gets easier, but no, it doesn't get easier. It gets different. Grief is a journey on its own. It's been 20 years for me, and it's every year gets different. But you know, definitely volunteering helps. That's my outlet. All the love I have for my son that I can't give him just kind of goes to the charity, and so it helps. But um, well, we're so grateful that you're volunteering for us and that you're sharing Henry's story. And I love the name Henry. That's one of my favorites. It was great. Um, is there anything else you'd like to tell families? I can't hear you. Uh-oh.
Like there's an airplane passing.
Oh, now I hear you. I don't
Okay.
know. You just went out and in. Okay, now I can hear you. Sorry.
I guess you know, just hang in there and try to. So I went through kind of, not kind of, I went through a pretty bad stage of depression when I was in the hospital. I think a lot of it was postpartum, but something that kind of helped me was finding my own ways as a mom, and things that I could do to feel like more like a mom, because I struggled with that, because you know, you can't hold him when you want to hold him, and you can't bathe him, and it was hard for me being an ER nurse, like figuring out how to get into mom role and not nurse role, because everything that I could help with was all nursing skills. Um, but I started just doing little things like bringing blankets for his bedding, and then making sure picking out, he couldn't wear clothes for the most part, and when he could, normally he could only wear it for like an hour or so, but I'd find different swaddles that I could have him. If I couldn't dress him in the swaddle, then I'd have the nurses do it. Um, Picking out a book to read to him every day, and then if I couldn't read to him his bednight story, having one of the nurses. I had like a library in the room, so the nurses would tell me which story they read to him. Things like that kind of really helped me. So just kind of figuring out your way that you can still be a mom, but it's a different kind of mom.
No, those are good ideas. Those are very good ideas. Well, thank you, Kerri, so much for your time and everything that you're doing and for sharing Henry with us.
Thank you.